Have you ever wondered if there were secret civilizations in our history that were simply erased from our history books? Imagine there is evidence of an advanced civilization called Tartaria that ruled vast parts of northern Asia. This culture supposedly harnessed free energy and built magnificent structures that almost no one knows about today. But why do we know so little about it? And what does all this have to do with the so-called orphan trains that transported hundreds of thousands of children across the USA? In this video, we delve deep into the hidden history of Tartaria, a civilization that seems to have been deliberately erased from our collective memory. Was this civilization so advanced that its technologies and buildings still surpass our imagination today? And how are these developments connected to the mysterious mud floods and the impressive world expositions of the 19th and early 20th centuries? One of the most incredible stories we will investigate is that of the orphan trains. Why were over 250,000 children from the overcrowded cities in the eastern USA sent to the rural Midwest between 1864 and 1889? Were these children really orphans, or is there a deeper, darker truth about their origins? Could they have been descendants of the Tartarian civilization, relocated after the mysterious fall of their homeland? And then there are the spectacular World Expositions, such as the Chicago World's Fair of 1893. These fairs showcased impressive buildings and technological innovations that were supposedly erected within a few months. Is it possible that these structures were actually remnants of Tartarian technology, represented to the world before mysteriously disappearing again? What about the mud floods that supposedly buried entire cities under layers of mud? Could this be another piece of the puzzle in the history of Tartaria? And what role does Nikola Tesla play in all of this? Could he have had access to lost knowledge that helped him develop his amazing inventions? Stay tuned as we will answer all these questions and many more. Subscribe to our channel Myth Researcher to not miss any of our revelations and support us in uncovering the secrets of the past. Dive with us into the hidden history of Tartaria and discover a world that may have never completely disappeared. What if there was an advanced civilization in history that was so spiritually and technologically developed that its achievements still surpass our imagination today? This civilization is called Tartaria. But how could such a significant culture almost completely vanish from our history books? Tartaria was much more than just a geographic location. This civilization, known as the Golden Empire, spanned large parts of northern Asia. It was both spiritually and technologically advanced. Imagine a society that not only built magnificent structures from a special geopolymer concrete, but also had access to free energy. Energy generated by ether generators. Sounds incredible, right? In 1627, the Dutch cartographer Willem Bloy created a map of Tartaria, showing the vast expanse of this empire. Why was this map created, and what does it tell us about the worldview of that time? Did Bloy have access to information that we are missing today? The architecture of Tartaria was impressive and surpassed anything we can imagine. The buildings were not only aesthetically pleasing but also functional, with technologies far ahead of their time. They used geopolymer concrete that became stronger over time and ether generators that collected free energy from the atmosphere. How did this technology work, and why don't we have it today? A fascinating aspect of Tartaria is the legend of the Tartarian giants. These mysterious beings were not only physically imposing but also possessed deep knowledge of the Earth's geomagnetic structures. They were able to construct buildings at locations where ley lines, energetic lines that traverse the Earth, converged. What role did these giants play in the development of Tartarian culture and technology? And what happened to Tartaria? Why has such an advanced civilization been practically erased from our history? Could it be that certain powers have deliberately kept this information hidden? What happened to the technologies and knowledge that Tartaria possessed? Let's explore these questions further and delve deeper into the mysteries of one of the most fascinating and enigmatic civilizations in our history. Have you ever heard of the mysterious mud floods? These events supposedly buried entire cities under layers of mud and debris. But what exactly happened during these catastrophes, and how did they affect the Tartarian civilization? The mud floods that occurred in the 18th and 19th centuries had devastating impacts on Tartaria. Entire cities and villages were buried under meters of mud. Magnificent buildings and advanced technologies were suddenly invisible and forgotten under a thick layer of mud. But was this really just a natural disaster? Or is there more to it? These so-called Great Resets seem to have been used intentionally to erase traces of an advanced civilization like Tartaria. Why would powers be interested in concealing such a significant culture? Was there knowledge and technology that the rest of the world was not supposed to see? Consider the first major mud flood on January 8, 1740. It was the beginning of a series of catastrophes that deeply shook Tartaria. Then came the second mud flood on October 29, 1834, causing further destruction. And finally the third on June 7, 1892, sealing Tartaria's fate. Why did these devastating floods occur at such regular intervals? Was it coincidence or a deliberate plan? The causes of these mud floods remain mysterious. Was it simply a whim of nature, or could volcanic eruptions and other geological phenomena have played a role? Some speculate that these events were deliberately triggered to obscure an inconvenient truth. Could it be that the elites of that time had an interest in erasing Tartaria and its advanced technologies from history? And what are the consequences of this large-scale cover-up? By losing Tartaria, did we also lose valuable knowledge about energy, architecture, and technology? How has this affected the development of the modern world? Would we have different types of technology and energy sources today if Tartaria had survived? As we delve further into history, let's not lose sight of these questions. The mud floods and the Great Reset are just one part of a much larger puzzle waiting to be discovered by us. Have you ever heard of the Orphan Trains? This movement, which took place from 1854 to 1929 in the USA, aimed to relocate orphaned and homeless children from the overcrowded cities of the East to rural areas of the Midwest. Over 250,000 children were moved this way. But why? What was really behind this large-scale operation? These children were often portrayed as orphans or abuse victims, but could it be that many of them were actually descendants of the once powerful Tartarian civilization? Were they from the remnants of a culture nearly wiped out by the mud floods and the Great Reset? If so, why were they relocated at any cost? One theory suggests that these children were deliberately separated from their families and placed in new environments to obscure their origins. But why would someone do such a thing? What if the elites and secret societies of the time had a strong interest in controlling and reprogramming the heirs of the Tartarian civilization? The Orphan Trains might have been a tool to erase the memory of Tartaria and simultaneously mold young, impressionable minds for new purposes. Could it be that these children were subjected to subtle brainwashing in their new families and communities to ensure they retained no memory of their true origins? What kind of reprogramming took place and for what purpose? There are reports suggesting that some of these children were taken in by secret societies. These powerful groups might have used the knowledge and skills of the Tartarian descendants for their own purposes. What secrets could these children have known? What lost technologies and spiritual practices might have lived on in them, only to be suppressed or redirected by their new masters? It is disturbing to think about how systematically these relocations were carried out, and what long-term effects they had on the affected children and their descendants. What became of these children? How did their life paths influence the society they were brought into? The story of the Orphan Trains raises many questions and reveals a dark side of history that is often overlooked. What other secrets might be hidden behind these seemingly humanitarian actions? As we dive deeper into this hidden history, we should remember to question critically and seek the truth. Have you ever wondered what exactly was showcased at the Great World Expositions and why? These world fairs, held in the 19th and early 20th centuries, were impressive events that attracted millions of people from around the world. They were meant to display the latest achievements in science, technology, and art. But could these expositions have also pursued a darker, less obvious agenda? Let's look at the famous Chicago World's Fair of 1893, also known as the World's Columbian Exposition. This event drew over 27 million visitors and featured more than 200 buildings over 630 acres. How was it possible to construct these magnificent and detailed buildings in just 2 years? Was everything really built within this short time frame? Or is there another explanation? Some theories suggest that many of the buildings and technologies shown at these fairs actually originated from Tartaria. Were these structures and innovations simply rebranded and presented as new Western inventions? If so, why was so much effort put into destroying these buildings after the fairs ended? The Paris Expo of 1934 is another fascinating example. This exposition offered a similar mix of impressive architecture and futuristic technology. What about the striking similarities between the buildings shown at these fairs and the descriptions of Tartarian architecture? Why were so many of these breathtaking structures demolished after the expos ended? Could it be that these destructions were intentionally carried out to hide evidence of a highly advanced, forgotten civilization? Why else would such impressive structures be torn down instead of preserved and used? What if these world fairs actually served to obscure the true history and distract the public from the existence of Tartaria? These questions lead us to a deeper understanding of the possible motives behind the World Expositions. Was it really just a celebration of progress and human achievement? Or was it a carefully orchestrated attempt to solidify an alternative historical narrative? What secrets might have remained hidden in the ruins of these exposition buildings? As you think about how these powerful events were used to rewrite history and manipulate knowledge, you should ask yourself, what other truths might still be hidden? What other secrets lie buried under the layers of history, ready to be discovered by curious minds like yours? Stay tuned as we dive deeper into this fascinating history and reveal what was really hidden behind the shiny facades of the World Expositions. Have you ever wondered why there are so many star-shaped forts around the world and what their original purpose was? These so-called star forts, of which there are over 1,700 in more than 100 countries, have fascinated historians and archaeologists for a long time. But could it be that their true significance goes far beyond what we've been told? Most star forts feature strikingly similar geometric designs, leading to the assumption that they were once built on significant Earth energy nodes and ley lines. But what if these forts were more than just defensive structures? What if they actually harnessed advanced piezoelectric effects to generate energy from their surroundings? Piezoelectricity is created when certain materials, such as crystals and specific stones, generate electric charges under pressure. Could it be that the star forts were strategically placed on coasts and islands to harness the energy of the sea and tides? How exactly did this process work, and what role did geomagnetic frequencies play? Many of these forts are made of materials with a high quartz content, known to produce piezoelectric effects. Could the star forts have been gigantic etheric capacitors that collected and transmitted energy? Were there possibly metallic antennas or other devices that transferred this energy to the surrounding land? What secrets might be hidden in the underground chambers and passages of these structures? And what about the reports that some of these star forts already existed before they were supposedly built in the 16th or 17th centuries? Were they actually constructed by older civilizations like Tartaria, and later rebuilt and reused by other cultures? If so, why are there so few historical records or blueprints documenting their construction? The theory that star forts were part of a widespread energy harvesting system used by an advanced civilization like Tartaria opens up fascinating possibilities. How would our understanding of history and ancient technology change if these theories were true? Could we learn from these ancient techniques and perhaps even apply them in our modern world? As you ponder these questions, be aware of how little we actually know about the true history of these impressive structures. How did the Industrial Revolution radically change the world? And what secret connections could there be to the mysterious civilization of Tartaria? The Industrial Revolution, which began in the mid-19th century, not only revolutionized the way people live and work, but possibly also pursued an agenda that rewrites history. Was the destruction of Tartaria a planned step to make way for this new industrial world? The Industrial Revolution brought massive upheavals. Millions of people left their agricultural activities and moved to cities to work in factories. But what if this movement was not just an economic necessity, but also a means to reprogram society? Could it be that the destruction and forgetting of Tartaria were part of a larger plan to establish a new order? Amidst these upheavals, a fascinating figure emerges: Nikola Tesla. Tesla, a brilliant inventor and scientist known for his work on wireless energy transmission and many other revolutionary inventions. But where did his extraordinary knowledge come from? Are there indications that Tesla had access to technologies that originally came from Tartaria? Was he perhaps even inspired by the ancient secrets of this lost civilization? Tesla's inventions, such as wireless energy transmission and the use of ether energy, seem to align in many ways with the technologies Tartaria allegedly used. Did Tesla unknowingly or knowingly draw on ancient knowledge hidden in the ruins of Tartaria? And if so, what impact could this have on our understanding of modern science and technology? The Industrial Revolution is often portrayed as a time of progress and innovation. But could the motivations behind it be darker than we realize? What if the introduction of machine work and mass production was not just progress but also a means of control? And how does Tesla, with his groundbreaking and often controversial ideas, fit into this picture? Think about it. If Tesla actually had connections to Tartarian technology, what does that mean for the history as we know it? Could it be that much of what we celebrate as modern achievements is actually based on ancient knowledge that was merely rediscovered? And what does that mean for our future? The connections between the Industrial Revolution, Nikola Tesla, and the mysterious civilization of Tartaria raise many questions that should prompt us to rethink history and further explore the secrets it holds. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this fascinating topic and try to piece together the hidden puzzle. How have all these incredible stories and theories about Tartaria, the mud floods, the Orphan Trains, the World Expositions, and the Industrial Revolution changed our understanding of history? This mysterious journey has led us through forgotten civilizations, hidden technologies, and massive relocations. What can we learn from this? Tartaria, a spiritually and technologically advanced civilization, might have played a significant role in history. But due to the devastating mud floods, this civilization was possibly wiped out. Was this a coincidence or part of a larger plan to reorder power structures? The connections between Tartaria and the mud floods raise many questions, especially about the true causes and consequences of these catastrophic events. The Orphan Trains, which transported thousands of children across the USA, have further entangled us in the web of cover-up. Could these children have been the descendants of the Tartarian civilization? And why were they reprogrammed by secret societies? What role did these children play in the reorganization of society after the fall of Tartaria? The World Expositions presented the public with impressive technological achievements and architectural wonders. But was this just a facade? Were these grand buildings and technologies actually remnants of Tartaria systematically destroyed after the expos to erase all traces? The starforts and their possible piezoelectric effects show us that there is still much to discover about ancient technologies. Could these impressive structures have been more than just defensive installations? What is the real story behind their construction and purpose? The Industrial Revolution brought a time of massive upheavals that changed not only the working world but also the collective consciousness. Nikola Tesla and his revolutionary inventions raise further questions. Did Tesla have access to ancient knowledge from Tartaria? And how does this influence our modern science and technology? The connections between all these topics are complex and fascinating. They challenge us to rethink history and remain open to alternative perspectives. What if much of what we celebrate as progress is based on a forgotten heritage deliberately erased from our collective memory? Thank you for watching until the end. If you want to learn more about these fascinating topics, check out our other videos and the resources we provide. Subscribe to our channel Myth Researcher to not miss any new revelations, and leave us a comment with your thoughts and questions. Let's uncover the secrets of history together and gain a deeper understanding of our past and future.